IVM.
Paisa Vaisa is an IVM production, and if you like our show, you can also check out other shows on IVM like The Colaba Cartel, which is an exclusive 10-part series that documents the journey of two well-established hospitality groups who came together to open a new restaurant called Miss T in Colaba. Episodes out every Monday and Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Coming up next on Paisa Vaisa, real estate special with Prashant Thakur, the head of research at Anarock Property Consultants. In this episode, we are going to talk about buying a house, one of the most important decisions that you can make. Roti kapda aur makan mein se, the makan part. Stay tuned for getting all the details, all the dope on buying your own house in this Paisa Vaisa special.
So it's going to be a great week on IVM this week. We have a brand new podcast launching, Wordy Woodpecker with Rachel Lopez. Every Tuesday, Rachel is going to break down fascinating words and why they mean what they mean. This show releases on the 21st of August. Be sure to check it out. And we have another new show launching as well, Know Your Kanun, hosted by lawyer Ambar Rana, where he addresses all law-related questions and gives us insights into the legal system of India. On Cyrus Says this week, Cyrus chats with actor Kubra Seth about the experience of making Sacred Games, life post the show, and her body of work. On Colaba Cartel, we have Jeremy Buck and Sandeep Hathiramani, the experts behind the bar at Miss T. They talk about the innovative cocktails they put on that menu. On the Vishal Gondal Show, Vishal speaks to Milind Devra about his interest in music, his vision for the country, and a hell of a lot more. Coach Urmi talks to actor and model Sarah Jane Dias about her fitness inspiration on the Kinetic Living podcast this week. And don't miss out on the final episode of Marbles Lost and Found for this first season, Therapy 101, hosted by Zan and Avanti. Also, guys, we're looking for a new producer, a social media intern, and a graphic designer. If you are interested in working with IVM and it's a cool bunch of people to work with, please send us an email to jobs@indusvox.com. Also, please make sure you're following us on social media if you're not. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. I'm your host, Anupam Gupta, B50 on Twitter. On Paisa Vaisa, we've covered a whole variety of topics here. It's almost been a year since we've been on air. We've done equities, we've done cryptocurrencies, insurance, credit cards, a lot of stuff. There's one topic that I've always wanted to discuss in detail because it's such an important topic for all of us, okay? That's real estate, right? Because all of us need a place to stay, whether you buy it, whether you rent it or whatever it is. Real estate is a very important part of our lives. So I've always been waiting to get a really good guest, a really good expert in real estate. And I'm really thrilled that finally my search has come to an end. And I'm really thrilled to finally find an expert in real estate. I have with me Prashant Thakur, who is the head of research at Anarock Property Consultants. I'm going to start with an introduction to Prashant and an introduction to Anarock. Anarock is one of the biggest real estate brokers in India. But for a more detailed discussion of that, I'm going to just get into this discussion with Prashant. This is going to be a 3-part series, okay? We're going to concentrate on 3 topics, which is buying real estate, renting real estate, and investing in real estate. So you want to stay tuned for all the 3 parts. And Prashant, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Can you tell us something about yourself, something about Anarock? I know it's a fairly big real estate broker in India, but tell us more about it.
Thanks, Anupam, for having me on the show. Sure. It's a real pleasure to be part of your show. Sure. To give you a brief background of Anarock, it has been founded by Mr. Anuj Puri. He is one of the stalwart of Indian real estate industry, and before founding this company, he was heading JLL India as country head and chairman. So, and if I have to talk about the brief business that we do, we are, as you rightly said, we are the largest real estate broker in India, and we deploy technology in kind of delivering what we feel would be right for the customers. Sure. We define our customers as developers whom we work very closely with, and also the end users who buy the property. And very recently, we opened up a capital market division also, which helps in developer raising funds, and kind of a lot of land transaction is also done through that vertical. And also we opened up our retail vertical.
Sure.
So this is a brief.
You cover pretty much every aspect of real estate. There is from
to
developers
be precise,
commercial, retail, residential. Pretty much all the areas of residential, you've got a presence. Tell us about yourself. What's your background? I mean, what are you? Where have you worked?
So by qualification, I am MBA in finance and a chartered financial analyst, and I have been consultant through most of my career. I worked for Deloitte and E&Y, and then the startup bug bit me, and I was part of the core team of Common Floor, and later moved to Quicker Homes.
Okay.
So it's a mix of consulting as well as a tech background, and then I was very keen when Anuj approached me to head the research vertical and set the research vertical.
So you're just the perfect person to ask all of our questions because you've got data, you've got numbers, you look at all the aspects of real estate. Let's just get started, okay? Let's talk about people who want to buy their own house. Okay, I'm talking about someone who wants to own his own house. I know that today there's a lot of discussion on buying, renting, but we'll get onto that. But I want to know, what would be your advice to someone who wants to buy a house for himself, for his family to stay? I'm assuming he's making a very long-term commitment. He's going to take a very huge home loan, but he knows for a fact that he's going to buy a house. Okay, let's start with the procedure of how he should go about doing it. Okay, let's talk about research. Let's talk about whether he should take the help of a broker, what kind of work that he should do. Okay, and then stuff like RERA. How has RERA really changed things for the buyer?
Sure,
please.
So. Before I start, I would like to say to our audience that this is the best time to buy if you are looking for your end use. Having said that, what are the steps that we should follow? So number one, if I'm pretty sure that I need a house for my end use.
Folks, end use just by the way means that I'm going to use it for myself. I'm going to stay in that versus people who want to invest or whatever it is, and we'll get to that later on. But end use means you can call it consumption. Like you are someone who's working or who has a business and you want to buy your own house to stay. So the term end use means that you are going to stay in that house yourself.
Yes, you're buying it for your self-consumption.
Okay.
So, first and foremost thing, you should decide your affordability. You should arrive at your affordability. So technically, if you're taking a loan, you should, do a simple math that approximately 30 to 40% of your income should be towards your EMI. You should not exceed beyond that because, if you have other liabilities, you might get in a tighter liquidity situation. Then the second most important factor is that you should decide on location because in today's real estate, three things are very critical. It is location, and location.
Of course, yeah.
That decides your price of the house. That decides that, if in future you want to rent it out, how easily it can be rented out. And, if at a certain stage you want to liquidate your property, how soon you can get that value. It also depends on location. So location is the most important factor when you kind of decide on buying a property. So once you have decided the affordability factor, zero down on a locality, and then you kind of start doing your research either through help of your friends, colleagues, or a broker whom or let's say a broker who would be operating in that particular locality to zero down on a property.
Okay.
Nowadays, you have a lot of option of doing online search, and I would like to highlight that 80% of home buying journey nowadays start online.
Oh,
so there are a lot of online portals who would have a detailed catalog, project description about various projects in a particular location. So then you kind of, once you have zeroed down on a property, I think then RERA has given us a wonderful opportunity to kind of verify the facts that a developer is quoting or let's say kind of saying to you. Earlier, in absence of RERA, there was a lot of instances where transparency was an issue. The developer might say something else and kind of deliver something else. He would show you some a plan, but the development would happen which would be totally off the plan that he would have shown you.
Okay.
So my advice would be, first of all, you should also check whether this project is RERA registered or not and go through all the details. See, at any stage you can engage with a broker, but my advice to everybody is do your own research if you're committing such a huge amount towards buying a house. So once the initial research is done, and if you are really kind of, you're not very confident about how you go about negotiating with a developer or let's say what kind of deal you want, then I would, advise you to engage a broker.
Okay.
And when you engage with a broker, please ensure that broker is also registered with RERA.
Okay.
Because, a RERA registered broker gives a credibility, and he's also under RERA now liable for any miscommunication or misconduct that he would kind of, do during his buying or selling process.
Okay.
So that way you ring fence yourself. So once all these things are done, then you can ask for the documents which are very critical for a home buying purpose. For example, let's say if you're buying an under construction property, the first thing that you should ask a developer or let's say your broker is to show you the title deed.
Okay.
Then kind of whether all the approvals are in place or not, and whether the project has got the commencement certificate or not. So this way you kind of do your basic due diligence. And one thing which I forgot to mention was that whether the land use is appropriate or whether the residential development is happening on the right property or not. For example, the land use conversion has happened or not.
Okay.
So these are basic things that you do for under construction property.
Let me get specific now. Okay. Let me try to get this more real for our listeners. Let's say that I'm someone who stays in Goregaon, it's a western suburb in Bombay, and I'm someone who's working, say, in Andheri East. Okay. Goregaon is kind of nearby to that. I don't want to stay in Andheri East, maybe because I want to be on the western side. It has more malls, it has better connectivity and stuff like that. So first, and I'm convinced about the affordability. So now, how do I start here? I would first look at, in Goregaon, what are the kind of projects that are out there? That would be my first step.
Exactly.
Okay. Ideally, what kind of property should I look out for? Okay, because I'm sure that there are quite a few projects in Goregaon. It's again a hot place to invest. What would be the 2 or 3 things that I should look out for only on location?
So see, when I said location, I think what we should look at is whether you have social infrastructure in place or not. For example, school, colleges, hospital, all of this stuff there or not. What is the infrastructure? Whether it is well connected by all means of transport. Do you have a metro? Do you have a proper road and rail network? And other softer aspects, that what is the situation of water supply?
Okay.
How is the congestion? These all steps. What are the upcoming development happening over there? Is there a flyover coming in? And what are the pull factor of that location? Is there any IT park or SEZ which will pull some working people who would like to kind of reside in that particular locality, so that in case in future if you're looking for renting out your flat can be easily rented out.
Okay.
So these are basic factors you should keep in mind.
Okay. Biggest question here, under construction or ready to move in? A big question.
Yeah. So in this today's scenario, I would say that there are a lot of options available in ready to move in inventory. Buying a ready to move in inventory would give you some kind of advantage. Number one would be you don't need to pay GST, and a ready to move in project protects you from execution risk, because historically the real estate industry has been marred by a lot of execution delays and all those stuff. So these two are basic benefits of getting into a ready to move in property. And since the developers are also very keen to clear their unsold inventory, they are giving you a lot of attractive payment schemes and discounts. So these are the plus of buying a ready to move in inventory. But the only challenge might be that you might not get exact location, or let's say kind of, for example, if I'm looking at a corner facing 7th floor or 8th floor kind of stuff, because most of the projects would be already sold, or let's say you have limited option initially. Whereas in an under construction property, you will get to choose which floor, which location, all those stuffs. But it has its own risk. Number one is though RERA is protecting you, but again you'll have to undertake some kind of execution risk. And obviously there is GST, since the developers are also not very clear about how to pass on this GST things. Of example, let's say how to deal with input tax credit and all those stuff. So in my opinion, if you're buying it for your end use, and you have kind of figured out your affordability, and you have figured out a good property which is in your choice of location, I think you should go for ready to move in apartment. Again, having said that, if you're looking at from an investment point of view, if you have a long horizon, then buying an under construction property makes sense.
If you have the patience and you can wait it out. The only risk would be the execution of the builder and stuff like that.
That is also kind of now minimized post RERA, because now developers are committing to a timeline which they have to adhere to.
Tell us about RERA. What is the website that I will now go to? Let's say that I have figured out I want to buy an XYZ project, which is let's say it is under construction. It's not It's not a ready to move in flat. Actually, before that, do builders normally share with you the documents like the title deed and all that? Is it mandatory for them, or they can just say कि नहीं मैं नहीं दिखाऊंगा तुमको जो करना है करो types? मजबूरी मेरी है after all.
So the times have changed now. I think with changing times, the buyers have also kind of evolved a lot. They are more educated a lot. So I think in today's scenario, the first question that a buyer are asking to the developer is, give me your RERA number, give me your registration number.
Okay.
So, for example, if he gives you his registration number, and you just go, for example, in Maharashtra, you go to maharera.gov.in, and you just put that number.
Right.
And if he has actually got the registration done, your initial screening is done, because he won't get that registration number, if he has not got all the approvals in place. So that means the initial screening is already being done by RERA when they provide this registration number. Okay. So I think most of the paperwork which a buyer would not understand is now being taken care.
So the website is Maharera, that's maharera.gov.in. I should go there and I should check. I just need to put the registration number of the broker, of the consultant,
developer.
Of the developer. So the developer has a registration number. The project also has a registration number?
Yes.
So ideally,
so every project, before a developer starts to sell it or even market it, even before putting the first hoarding in the city, or let's say a first print in the newspaper, he has to get the registration done. Okay. Without registering his project, it's illegal for him to market the project.
Even the ads that we see every Sunday, because every Sunday and every festival, all of them have this. So
it has to be registered.
Okay, so once I've gone to the RERA website and I've checked the project, I should ideally look out for what, like when is the expected date of completion, stuff like that.
Yeah. Expected date of completion, and how many units have been sold. Now, for example, let's say at times the developers create a sense of urgency in the minds of buyer by telling sir, buy it, very less flats are available. It's So RERA has mandated developers to also disclose how many units they have sold as of date, and it needs to be updated every quarter. So every quarter the developer has to update on the Maharera website about the number of units he has sold, and also what is the progress in terms of construction. So that way I think a lot of grey area has been taken care of. So now, for example, let's say if the developer tells me that sir, very less flats are available, just you should go ahead and buy. Or let's say he's telling that I will charge a premium because very less inventory is there. You can go back to the Maharera website, check, how many units have been sold.
The actual picture.
And then the picture.
Yeah.
So that way, developers since now know that whatever they say can be validated. So now they're taking a lot of precaution in whatever they're committing.
Okay. 2 questions before we wrap up this, the first part. One is, now I have decided all of this. How do I choose a broker? What are the services that I should look for in my broker? Okay, because this is a fairly unorganized industry as such. I have to probably work on referrals, okay, or maybe do my online search and all that. But ideally, if I choose a broker, what is the rate of brokerage, and is that fixed under RERA, and what type of services should I look from my broker?
Sure. I would like to highlight that RERA is not only applicable on the developers. Now it is applicable on brokers also who are dealing in the primary market. That means who are in the market of first-hand sales.
Which means that the developer has a project and he's selling it directly to the customers. That's called a primary sale.
Yes. So the first thing you should ask about your broker is his registration number. So RERA has mandated them also to be registered. So, and if he's registered, that means he has all those credential in place. He has a PAN card, he has office, and he has certain kind of background which has been already verified by RERA.
Okay.
Now, second is a few subjective analysis. Now, for example, if he has worked with some prior clients, you should ask for verify his or her services from that particular person. You should also check in the area that he operates whether he has a pan city exposure, so that he gives you a wider choice of property, or let's say he is focused just on locality. Now, for example, if he is operating on a city level, he will help you to zero down on locality. Now, for example, if he is only operating in a particular location, it's up to you to first zero on the location and then kind of find a broker who operates in that. So I would advise go for a broker who has larger footprint. And then look for a broker who has been in the market for, fairly good amount of time. Not because nowadays it's very easy to become a broker.
Sure.
Anybody can become a broker. So I would recommend that you go for a broker who has been operating in that particular micro market for at least 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Look at the projects which he has in his portfolio. That also speaks a lot about the brokers. Is he dealing with only tier 1, grade 1 developers, or kind of he's picking up any grade 2 or 3 developers? And then also, should look at a broker. It's a very subjective analysis. You'll get to know in your first couple of interaction with him whether that particular broker is service oriented or just he's in a hurry of making the transaction, getting his commission and moving out. Because the role of the broker not only is limited to helping you get a property, but also there are a lot of hassles, or let's say follow-up that needs to be done post-purchase. So how well that broker is is willing to help you in that. Sure. At times, good brokers also help you to get your legal works done, registration, right. Arranging for home loans and all the stuff.
Sure.
So in today's scenario, broker is no more a property agent. He's more of a property advisor, property consultants, who should be in a position to give you end-to-end service.
Right. Okay. And of course, the most important question: when is the right time to buy? I know that you said that this is a good time to buy, but tell us why you think it's a good time to buy in general right now. And, this whole thing about first, when is the right time, essentially. Yeah.
See, it also depends on at what stage of career you are, at what stage of life you are. Now, for example, a person who has a clarity on his future cash flow, who is pretty sure about the stability of his job, and let's say if it's for his end use, I think this is the right time. So typically, if I have to relate with the ongoing Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, where you would have also read that the interest subsidy has been now kind of increased to MIG1, which is mid-income group. So now, for example, just to give you a background of that, MIG1 and MIG2. Now, for example, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana has classified a person who is earning between 6 to 12 lakhs as mid-income group 1, and somebody who's earning from 12 lakhs to 18 lakhs in MIG2.
Okay.
And now, for example, if I'm earning, if I fall under MIG2, and if I'm a first-time home buyer, there is an interest subsidy that Government of India gives on buying.
Right.
So I think you should look into these factors also if you're on the verge of making a decision. So a couple of factors. Now, government is incentivizing you to buy if you are falling in a particular category. Yeah. And then you have a lot of ready to move in stock, which is lying in front of you. Developers are willing to sit across the table and give you good deals. So these are the factors based on which I say that this is the right time to buy for a buyer. Now, if you look at the other segment of the population, which we call millennials, or let's say people who have just moved into a job, I would recommend them to not get swayed by tall claims, or let's say marketing gimmicks, and get into home buying. They should opt for rental, because at the initial stage of a career you tend to switch jobs or move your location. So ideally you should opt for rental accommodation that time, till the time you don't get visibility and some kind of clarity about your future cash flows.
Okay. What so the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, what is the typical ticket size of a house that I am looking at out there? What is the kind of loan that I would be looking out for, and what would be the size of my EMI? Okay, my guess is that the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is typically, I think, for projects on the outskirts of cities. Could you just give us a rough example here?
So if I would just include, for the sake of clarity, I would include two brackets, which I think would be apt for the target audience that we are talking about.
Sure.
Which is mid-income group 1 and mid-income group 2 that I said.
Right.
So I'm assuming that a young professional, in the age bracket of, let's say, 25 to 30, would be earning 12 to 18 lakhs, which ideally falls into MIG2.
Okay.
Now, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana gives you an interest subsidy on a loan up to close to, let's say, 9 lakhs. And the property price has to be below 45 lakhs in a metropolitan city. So if I have to talk about cities which are IT hubs, or like, Pune,
Right.
Hyderabad, Bangalore.
Right.
So a lot of property would fall under this bracket.
Okay.
45 lakhs.
Okay.
Which might not exactly be on the outskirts.
Sure.
But again, it is within the budget. So
And with good connectivity, you
connectivity.
might not be that far from your office.
that far.
Okay.
So I think this target segment and this target budget of 45 lakhs is the ideal, segment that we should be more interested in.
Okay. What kind of EMI would it be roughly that he would be looking at after the interest rate subsidy?
So I think that depends. For example, let's say if I select a price ticket size of 45 lakhs
Yes.
and let's say I make a 20% down payment,
Yeah.
and rest is down. So I think the EMI would not be more than 25,000 to 30,000.
The rough logic is that 45 lakhs is the price of the house. 20% is 9 lakhs. So 45 minus 9 is roughly about 35 lakhs, let's say.
Yeah.
And interest rates are at about 10% right now. So the EMI works out about 25,000 a month for a 10-year loan.
Yeah.
10-year loan. And do I get any income tax benefits on that?
Yes,
Over
yes.
and above
Yes,
all
yes,
this?
yeah. So on the principal amount, you get income tax rebate of 1.5 lakhs. And on the interest part, you get the rebate is up to 2 lakhs.
Okay. That would make it attractive,
Yeah,
right?
so that makes it attractive. Yeah. So now if you look at those part, if a person is really serious about creating an asset for himself as well as reducing his tax liability, and on the other hand availing this benefit of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, I think this is a golden opportunity right now.
Okay.
For young home buyers.
Sure. Okay, Prashant, before I wrap up this, the first part of our series, I've got a listener question from Karan Sehgal, because I just put it on Twitter that I'm doing this real estate recording, and he has 2 questions, okay? Out of which I think that we've already answered the first one. He's saying that is there ever a good or bad time to buy? I think it's a good time to buy, as you said,
good time to buy.
in detail. And his second question is that how do you research if the real estate market or the particular area you want to buy in will go up or down? You can take an example of what I said of Goregaon. Let's say that, okay, I have chosen Goregaon. Now, how will I go about finding out कि अच्छा boss ये area में भाव ऊपर जाने वाला है, future में नीचे जाने वाला है? How will prices move in this area? What kind of research should I do there?
Sure. So, for example, once we have zeroed down on a particular locality, the first thing we should look at it is what is the situation of the existing supply of real estate over there. How many projects are already existing, and what is the unsold inventory in that particular locality. And these might sound big things, but you have reports readily available on various portals. Various portals are also kind of offering this data free of cost on their sites, where you can research about the unsold inventory, and also what is the situation of upcoming supply. How many new supply are coming in? So it's the price is a function of demand and supply. If you see that there is already huge amount of unsold inventory sitting in a locality, and there is huge influx of new supply coming in, so obviously the price appreciation will not happen. This is one part. Having said that, if you see that there is some kind of big employment opportunity coming up in that area, for example, a big IT park is has been announced, or let's say some good connectivity is coming, normally a metro connection, or let's say a flyover changes the dynamic of the real estate overnight. So these are the factors that you should look at it. Again, I'll repeat for the benefit of our listeners.
Yeah.
Your social infrastructure, your physical infrastructure, the current unsold inventory situation of a particular locality, the upcoming supply, as well as is there any potential employment generation activity happening. So these factors will give you a hint about whether the prices are going to appreciate or depreciate.
And again, this is over the longer term.
It's
not like how stock market works.
No.
A quarterly earnings is announced and boom, the price goes up 5%.
No. I think
happens over the long term.
Patience is the key for real estate market right now if you're an investor.
Fantastic. Karan, I hope that answers your question. Thank you for asking that, folks. That is a wrap on the first of our 3-part series on real estate. We spoke about buying a house in this first episode. In the second episode, we're going to talk about renting a house. In the third episode, we're going to be talking about investing in a house. You want to stay tuned for all of these episodes. My guest is Prashant Thakur, Head of Research at Anarock Property Consultants. This was episode 1. Stay tuned for 2 and 3. Thank you for listening.
No material on the show should be considered as financial advice. The material on the show is for informational purposes only. Please consult a financial advisor before taking any investment decision.
Hello, I'm Chuck.
I'm Shrikep.
And I'm Naren.
And together we are the hosts of the podcast
Simplified.
And we are going to be doing a 100th episode. Which is going to be a live episode at Dulali in Khar in Mumbai on the 25th of August 2018.
Yes, we should get the year right.
We're going to be doing a lot of fun things at the show. We are going to be talking about some stuff, simplifying them. We're going to have a very erudite guest who's going to hopefully make up for our silliness, but we sincerely doubt it.
And there's definitely going to be a lot of beer, so we really hope you join us.
It'll be fun, and it'll be more fun if you guys are there. So do line up.
See you. Bye-bye.
Did you know that Parsis in Mumbai, instead of being left at the Tower of Silence after they die, are now cremated? And why? Because a cow fell sick in the early 1990s. Did you know that the smog in Delhi is caused by something that farmers in Punjab do and that there's no way to stop them? Did you know that there wasn't one gas tragedy in Bhopal, but 3? One of them was seen, but 2 were unseen. Did you know that many well-intentioned government policies hurt the people they're supposed to help? Why was demonetization a bad idea? How should GST have been implemented? Why are all our politicians so corrupt when not all of them are bad people? I'm Amit Verma, and in my weekly podcast, The Seen and the Unseen, I take a shot at answering all these questions and many more. I aim to go beyond the seen and show you the unseen effects of public policy and private action. I speak to experts on economics, political philosophy, cognitive neuroscience, and constitutional law so that the insights can blow not only my mind, but also yours. The Seen and the Unseen releases every Monday. So do check out the archives and follow the show at seenunseen.in. You can also subscribe to The Seen and the Unseen on whatever podcast app you happen to prefer.